Okay, good afternoon, everybody. How we doing today? All right, how about the weather? Is it great or what? All right, fine, we can take off our winter jackets. Believe me, it just started this morning. My name is David. Welcome to the Zephyr. Welcome to New York City. Welcome to the Brooklyn Bridge. Brooklyn Bridge opened in 1883. Took 14 years to build. Employed 4,000 men during that time period. And when it finally opened, it was twice as long as any suspension bridge built before it. The genius of a German immigrant named John Roebling, who owned a wire company, and it was Roebling's idea to take multiple strands of wire and twist it into cable. They called it braiding. And on a bridge designed for horse-drawn travel, it takes thousands of cars back and forth from Brooklyn to Manhattan every day. Now, the Brooklyn Bridge is only one of 3 bridges across from Brooklyn to Manhattan. The next one north of us is the Manhattan Bridge. That opened in 1909. You can see a subway on the lower level if you look carefully. It's going to Brooklyn. New York City has the world's largest subway system, 468 stops on almost 800 miles of track. It's open 24 hours a day. Could anybody tell me how many people ride the New York City subway every year? Total ridership. Anybody, can somebody give me a number? What's that? 6 million? 6 billion. That's an interesting guess. 6 billion is closer to being correct than 6 million. It's actually 1.6 billion people a year ride the subway. That's over 6 million, that's about 6 million people a day ride the subway in New York. We're not even number 1 in the world. We're number 4 in ridership behind Moscow, Seoul, and Tokyo. Now, by the way, the last bridge in the distance, you will have to turn around to look at it. That's the Williamsburg Bridge. That opened in 1904. If you want to remember the 3 bridges, think of the German car company, BMW, Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Williamsburg. Isn't that catchy? Now, if you look to the right of the boat, we're going to see some beautiful buildings here in Lower Manhattan. The Silver Building, which is the newest of the ones I'm going to talk about, that opened a couple of years ago. That's New York by Gehry. Some of you may be familiar with Frank Gehry, internationally acclaimed architect. That is the tallest residential luxury apartment building in the Northern Hemisphere. And again, designed by Frank Gehry. You can rent the penthouse for a very tidy sum of $24,000 a month. To the right of it, you see the building with the gold statue, the municipal building. That statue is called Civic Pride. And to the left of the Silver Building is the Woolworth Building with the green top. Designed by Cass Gilbert, built for Frank W. Woolworth, the man who built the Woolworth 5 and dime store. He paid $13.5 million in cash for it when it opened in 1913. The urban myth is that he paid for it in nickels, dimes, and pennies. You can only imagine what that closing was like. All right, are you done counting the pennies yet? 13 million. That's crazy. I don't believe that, by the way. It could be true. We just left South Street Seaport. That's the original seaport of New York. And during the late 19th and early 20th century, on any given day, you would see over 100 ships docked here along the waterfront. But times have changed. The waterfront isn't as important as it used to be. The 3 biggest businesses in New York are finance, insurance, and real estate. All right, guys, here comes another question. What's the 4th biggest business in New York? Tourism. As soon as I hear it, I go, yeah, you're right, tourism. 52 million people visited New York last year, spent over $35 billion while they were here. Good work, guys. Keep it up. The most visited place on earth is in New York City. It's called the Crossroads of the World. Anybody know what that is? I just heard somebody say Times Square. You're absolutely correct. You know, I love asking that question because I get answers like the Empire State Building, which isn't a bad guess, but how many people can you fit in there a day? About 20,000. Times Square? Well, on New Year's Eve, 1 million people go into it, so it can fit a lot of people. You know, they had these statistics last week in the New York Times. One of them was just this arbitrary stat about how many people walked between 50 and 51st Street between 4 and 7 p.m. on Broadway in May of last year. And it was 13,500 people. Walked between one block for 3 hours. Gives you an idea how many people are walking around Times Square. And I want to give a big hello to everybody on board with Onboard Tours. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. And you got great guides showing you the ropes of New York City. New York City is broken up into 5 beautiful boroughs. If you never heard the word borough before, it's kind of like a county. It has Dutch origins. The boroughs include, furthest to the north, the Bronx. We got the borough of Queens. Those are the 2 boroughs we won't see today. We will see Brooklyn. It's on behind us on the left. We'll see Staten Island when we get out into the bay. But over here on the right, Manhattan. Manhattan is a long, thin island, about 12 miles long, 2.5 miles at its widest. Population 1.6 million, 70,000 people per square mile. But that doesn't tell the whole story, because during the work week, the population grows to nearly 4 million every day. That's what all this vertical space is for. 20% of the elevators in the United States are in New York City. That's nearly 70,000 elevators. So if you like elevators, this is going to be the greatest trip you've ever had. 2 ferry terminals on the right, including the Whitehall terminal with the solar glass. But you know it by a different name. It's called the Staten Island Ferry. World's largest commuter ferry service. 60,000 people a day commute back and forth from Staten Island to Manhattan for the absolutely unbelievable, unheard of, ridiculous, incomprehensible price of absolutely nothing. It's free. I just want to keep you guys in suspense. You know, one of the biggest myths about New York is that it's so expensive. I mean, sure, it can be. If every day you stay at the Ritz-Carlton, see a Broadway show, and eat at a French restaurant, every day would be very expensive. But for instance, a family of 4 can eat in Chinatown for less than $30. You could walk over the Brooklyn Bridge. It's spectacular. It won't cost you a penny. Go for a walk in Central Park. Visit some of our beautiful churches and cathedrals like St. Patrick's and St. John the Divine. You'll find great art and architecture. And during the summer, there's free concerts and performances all the time, like Good Morning America and the Today Show every Friday. If you came here in the summer, you could probably plan a whole week of free activities, not spend a penny. Of course, you got to eat. I've never seen so many people at that place over there on the right. That's the East Coast War Memorial. And actually, on those 8 slabs, engraved are the names of every man and women who lost their lives at sea during World War II. East Coast War Memorial. That's all in Battery Park. Battery Park on the right, one of the oldest public parks and spaces in the United States. Now, Battery Park has nothing to do with batteries. It's got to do with the War of 1812. Now, if you look behind the white tent, you can see a round stone fort. It's called Castle Clinton. Opened in 1811, built for the War of 1812, and inside Castle Clinton were 28 32-pound cannon. That's the battery of cannon. And New York was so well protected that the British avoided New York at all costs. They chose softer targets like Baltimore and Washington, D.C. They burnt the White House down to its foundations. Did you know that the Star-Spangled Banner is written about the War of 1812, our national anthem? The bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. The War of 1812. It's like the theme song for that war. Now, Castle Clinton has also been an aquarium and opera house and processing for immigration from 1855 until 1890. And then they realized, boy, that place isn't big enough to process immigration anymore. So that's why they moved things over to Ellis Island, which is over there. We'll be getting a lot closer to it, and I'll be talking more about it.